Good morning all. Welcome to our speakers and participants from around the world. As a part of the conference, we have a code of conduct. If you'd like to read this in more detail, jump onto the M365 May website. So just a quick shout out to all the sponsors who've helped put this amazing month-long event on. So hi, I'm Kat Fricker, and until very recently, I was working at a department with a very long name, the Department of Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development and Communications. This morning, I'm doing a session on data visualization to support decision-making and engagement. Data is getting more and more attention in organisations as we struggle to leverage the sheer amount we hold, and it's a logical focus point as we seek to find efficiencies with increasing demand on output. So hopefully in the next 30 minutes, I can show you a few different solutions in this space and spark some ideas for you to take with you. I'm not going to talk through the collection, curation and management of data, nor am I going to go into the tech, but rather give you a few examples of how it can be interrogated to provide easy digestion and understanding of complex tables, and therefore improve decision making. I think it's important that we as digital professionals consider how we can utilise data and provide engaging and rich experiences that make it easier for people to make decisions. It helps them get the information they need to make those decisions. So just a quick note, you may notice the background images for some of my slides are a little bit abstract for the content, and I promise I'll explain later. So why data? Full disclosure here, I'm not an expert in this field. I was kind of handed this function as it logically fit within the other areas I had responsibility for. I used to look after records and information management, SharePoint, web services, library, other odds and ends in the department with a very long name. So if you look at my journey to this point, it kind of makes sense why data visualization piqued my interest. I set out on a path of visual communication, studying graphic design at uni. So it was during this time I made the conscious choice to focus on the digital stream as opposed to the more traditional print space, which was actually a thing in those days. And this led me into web design and then interface design and onto development. So the key elements of all of these things are around the visual communication and ease of use. I think data visualization is a wonderful tool to have in your belt to facilitate these things. Today, I just want to show you a few things I was involved in while I was working at the department with a very long name, to give you a taste of some of the simple ways to engage your users with data and some more complex pieces being done out in the wild, and these are more aspirational. I'm going to start with the jewel in the crown. Why not? I've never been one to save the best for last. I'm actually a really impatient person. So what was the issue? In essence, it was our roads and how we maintain them. We have 874,000 kilometres of roads. 44,179 kilometres are our key freight routes. Freight movement is critical to the nation's economy, and the efficiency of this network is directly linked to productivity. We had a team of people charged with reviewing the current charging and fee structure that fund road maintenance. I know it doesn't actually sound that fun to me, but each to their own. But the way they've approached this issue is really elegant. So first, let's look at some data. Roads are our most valuable infrastructure asset. So they're $470 billion compared to $120 billion for water and sewage and $27 billion for NBN. We're seeing a huge increase in road usage, which has tripled since the 70s, and the road freight carried on this is on the rise. Our fuel excise is declining. This impacts our revenue for road maintenance, which then impacts the efficiency on our key freight routes. So the task force set out to deliver better services for our customers, delivering a service that customers want. That's the heavy vehicle road reform. It's been estimated that the economic benefit from this reform is between $6.5 and $13.3 billion over the next 20 years. So you can get a bit of a feel for the significance and importance of this work. One way to look at how we can reform and deliver with the user focus was through data visualization and mapping. Let's dive in. So here we have the heavy vehicle road reform interactive mapping dashboard. This dashboard exploits the fact that all of the data used has a location, a geo value. So we can then take this and map it. This map has a number of different data sets as layers, and you can start to expose multiple data sets over each other and provide some really interesting insights. So if we jump in and have a look, starting here with the basics, we have plotted the key freight routes on the map. They're those big fat grey lines. On the right, there's a layers list, and users can really quickly and easily select what they want to see. And you can upload additional data sets if you want. So let's see if we add another layer of data over the top, what it looks like. Here I've selected to show road roughness. We collect a lot of data on our road, which we can use to measure the quality. So these are things like the ride quality, roughness, etc. If we zoom in, we can start to see what it looks like in more detail. The different colours here depict the varied quality, and you can see those fat grey freight routes. Another layer. So I've added in projects. They're those yellow dots, and they show the location of the project and the scale of the different project. You can click on a project and get more detail on it. Project name, the status, state, etc. And then you can zoom in even further, and down at this level, users can now pinpoint exact locations of interest and expose even more information using the Roads Rating Explorer on the right panel. So I can click on any segment of road and see the Google Street View and details of the road segment itself. So you've got the ride quality, which is green here, number of lanes, and all the data we have, it's all there. I can explore the Street View and cruise up and down and get more detail on each segment. There's a couple of different base maps you can put behind to get different lenses. There's a map, satellite view, and there's another cool function we have is a slider. So I've zoomed out and I have the key freight routes combined with an inland rail base case. And using the slider tool, I can actually slider the population density on and off. So you can start to see how these things impact individuals and communities. So that's pretty cool, right? It's a really nice way to facilitate data-driven decision making. It doesn't have to be that complex and fancy though. So let's take a different look at what data visualization can be. So we started using Microsoft Power BI a little while back in the department to provide data that we had been publishing on our public website for years as tables. So here it is before some dashboard wizardry. This shows which airlines arrive on time in particular routes. This can be quite useful for travellers who are looking to book flights, as it enables them to make a data-driven decision about which airline to choose, if being on time is something that is of particular importance. I know I hate having flights delayed or cancelled, but seriously, would you go in and read this and work it out before booking a flight? I doubt it. It feels hard. So here it is after its modern makeover. It's made it much easier to understand. So I've actually used some old screenshots here because the latest data isn't great with the borders locked. There's not a lot of movement at airports. But you can see it's simple and effective. You can pick your metrics, origin, destination, airlines, and see their performance. This little dashboard seemed to catch the eye of a few journalists in Canberra. Shortly after publishing this, there were articles being posted around about the above average cancellations of Canberra flights, and we're getting a lot more interest in our statistical publications, which is a winner. So you can see here navigating on the dashboard, and you can see the data changing depending on the metrics that you choose. So pick your origin, Sydney, and you can get to data on specific months. So coming up, we have our mid-session prize giveaway. So if you get your phones ready, you can scan the QR code and register. I'll leave that up for a couple of seconds for you. All right, I hope you've got it. So another perspective. Let's have another look at how we can engage our users with data visualization. This example came about when I decided to challenge myself to take a very dry topic of record keeping and somehow make it interesting. I needed to somehow open up a conversation with our senior executives about the performance of the various divisions in regards to records management. This was an ideal candidate for making data great again. If I could engage the executive using visualization of records, I could engage them on just about anything. So I thought about this for ages and I had multiple cracks at dashboards in Power BI, but they just didn't do anything for the topic. It's one of those 3 a.m. tasks that you mull over. I eventually came up with the idea of mashing up a dashboard with an infographic. Huzzah! So here we have one interactive live infographics dashboard thingy. So the name needs work, but you can see where I'm going at. And I need to call out, this was still a work in progress when I left. So this is actually a scrolling dashboard. It's a full screen page, but I've put them side to side so I can show you the entire picture while I talk you through it. This dashboard connects directly with the record system, so the information is live. It means I don't have to run reports every time I'm asked by an executive for the stats. You can see there's a bunch of numbers here and different things. And this was the really time-consuming part. How do you take the raw data and demonstrate things like engagement? Like, what is that? How do you measure it? And how do you track it? Is it using it once a month? Is it reading a document or adding a new document? You can get really jumbled up in the possibilities here, but persist, as the outcome will be all the better when you do resolve it. I ended up landing on the fact that I needed to incentivize the exec to make their staff manage records. And there's no better way to do this than make it competitive. So I achieved this with a leaderboard. So that's the yellow ribbon here that shows infrastructure investment adding the most documents. The big numbers are quite demonstrative of how much effort it is too. I was really surprised by the number of interactions. The active users didn't surprise me at all. This shows that less than half of staff are using the system, the only records management system. That's less than ideal. But you see it here and it calls it out and you can see it's a problem. From there, we can start talking about the lack of engagement and work on how we can increase it and actually track it using the dashboard. The next iteration of this, which wasn't quite finished when I left, is the ability to view at the next level down in the organisation. So I pitched house shields, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, etc. No, I'm joking. Well, sort of. Having divisional shields at the top of the dashboard, users can then click on it and open this dashboard up, but then it's only showing the data filtered by the division only. So the winning group will now reflect the branch within the division that's added the most documents. And within there is the branch shields, and you can drill down even further. So click on a branch shield and the data underneath filters. This means with very little extra effort, I now have a reporting tool that can be engaging for all levels of the organisation. Depending on their span of control, they can get the view that they want. So I need to call out the hardest part of this, and I think it's really common across data visualization in general, is understanding what you're trying to say. What is the story? It's easy to visualize the Saturn V rocket's takeoff with fuel usage measured in elephants, but understanding the purpose and what the problem you're trying to solve is key. So we've looked at a couple of really different examples of data visualization, and I hope they demonstrate a few different ways you could use them back in your workplace. But I also want to show you something that I think is way fancy and give you the full spectrum of what it could be. I want to show you a digital twin. When I first came across a digital twin, it blew my mind. So a digital twin is a digital model of something. So it could be an object, a process, or a system. Digital twins were listed on Gartner's top 10 strategic technology trends for 2019, and it's estimated about 50% of large industrial companies will be using them by 2021. So the example I want to show you is of Singapore. So in this example, we're able to navigate and explore the city from our desktop, and the potential with Internet of Things is mind-blowing. Well, it is for me anyway. I think I might have just outed myself as a nerd. Anyway, with this technology, we're then able to do some seriously cool analysis of almost anything. Traffic movement, urban planning, community consultation, and real-time monitoring. So with subterranean infrastructure in here, you can use the sensor data in, say, the water network and monitor any issues. Combine that with traffic monitoring, you can help your team get to where they need to get to fix the problem as quickly as possible. So you can see all kinds of data in here. You're looking at the buildings, the size, the scale. You can get into specifics around car spaces, balconies, materials, the lot. There's a Brisbane-based company who are doing some really amazing things in this space. They're called V2I Real-Time. They were part of the Department of Infrastructure's first Smart Cities grant program, and combined with funding through local government initiatives, they've built a platform that takes you, see here in the Singapore example, to the next level. They've actually built their product on a gaming platform, which provides amazing rendering and user experience. It can also facilitate virtual reality. So then people can actually immerse themselves in the digital twin and explore the space. The other thing I really like about their solution is the interaction aspect. People can really easily add notes to things and mark them up on a 3D model, which is great. And it adds a collaboration element to the concept, which I think is really cool. So I have a bit of inspiration for you here. It's not all about the high-tech implementation of geospatial mapping, digital twins, or fancy live infographics, but it can be simple and it can be analog. This is a beautiful collaboration between Georgia Lupi and Stephanie Prosovec. They sent postcards to each other every week for a year, and some of the data is pretty hilarious. So they've got a week of privacy, a week of our phones, a week of data. I hope these sort of provide you with a bit of inspiration, a bit of a look at all the different things that you can do. I like the way that these guys have just collaborated on some random things using a pen and paper, but sometimes a pen and paper is the best way to start. So I said I'd have some random images throughout and I'd explain them. The time has come for those of you with curious minds. I've tried to use different beautiful visualizations throughout the deck with the hope that you would walk away and have seen a whole bunch, all with really different approaches, and maybe, just maybe, it will inspire you to go down the rabbit hole as I did. So here's the first one. This is called The Art in Pi, and this is by Nadia Bremer from Visual Cinnamon. She's actually an astronomer, an artist, a designer, and I guess you could say a rock star. She's mapped the number pi. Here we have a map of the city with tweets and flicker. So the tweets are blue and flicker is orange. So you can really see where communities interact with certain landmarks and spaces. It's by Eric Fisher. This next one is air traffic in North America, which I think is just kind of cool. That's by Aaron Coblin. Here we have times babies are born. This is using Play-Doh and it's by Depict Data Studio. This is music. So this is the music from Star Wars, The Emperor, visualized, and that's by Matthias Dietrich. So to wrap up, the key points to take away are data cannot be ignored. It's essential that we value our data holdings, actively manage them, and use it to provide insights and solve problems. Data visualization is a way of simplifying complex information to facilitate faster and more effective decision making. Consider your data. Consider data visualization as a part of your organization. Add it to your kit. It really doesn't have to be complex and expensive. And lastly, know your goals. Understand the problem and what you're trying to demonstrate and get the data. The data often is the hardest bit. Thanks for tuning in. So we have some time for questions and I'm just going to have a quick look. If we have any questions around data visualization or if anyone can share some of their experiences and I can feed it back through. All good? Well, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to share some of the other things I've seen and had experience with. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Megan, production. It's been good.